Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland. And I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
Are you okay if that compromises NATO?
Donald Trump has apparently become obsessed with acquiring Greenland, so it seems US foreign policy is again being wrenched in a nonsensical direction. And listen, Greenland is valuable. Like this article from the Center for Strategic and International Studies says, Greenland is rich in natural resources including iron ore, graphite, tungsten, palladium, vanadium, zinc, gold, uranium, copper, and oil. Greenland ranks 8th in the world for rare earth reserves with 1.5 million tons. Plus, the Arctic is a growing battlefield in the new Cold War, pun intended, between America and its rivals China and Russia. So if America could acquire Greenland with zero costs, then sure, no problem, I'm good with that. The issue is, the costs of actually acquiring Greenland here in the real world are too great. Plus, there are pretty obvious, easy alternatives. This is what, why, how, and that's what the video's about. If you like this sort of thing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out patreon.com/whatwhyhow for early access to future videos. Now, the United States has tried to purchase Greenland several times throughout history. After America occupied Greenland during World War II, we offered to purchase the island in 1946 because the vital importance of Greenland to US security. The idea was brought up several more times over the course of the Cold War when the US had substantial bases on the island. Obviously, Denmark didn't bite, and they're not biting today. For one, it is constitutionally impossible now for Denmark to sell Greenland. Greenland's future is for Greenland to decide. So what does Greenland think? Well, 85% of them explicitly don't want to become part of the United States, and that was before Donald Trump threatened to invade. Funnily enough, that's a similar number of Americans that don't want Trump to take over Greenland by force. So what are we left with? Denmark can't sell Greenland, and Greenland doesn't want to be bought. What we're left with is force. The United States can invade Greenland and take it over, an option which Trump has refused to rule out. But of course, that's unpopular at home, and it would be cataclysmic on a global scale. Now, of course, that's probably the usual sort of Trump bluster to get Denmark to the negotiation table. Probably. But let's talk about it for a second, because military force is on a spectrum. The US could outright invade Greenland, or it could use force and intimidation to try to compel annexation, probably unsuccessfully. If the United States tried to do that, it might get some goodies from the Greenlandic ice, sure, but it will also lead to the downfall of the American empire as it has existed since 1942. Let me explain. The United States is in fact the most powerful country in the world, but we're not a colonial empire anymore. Besides Puerto Rico and some islands in the Pacific, we don't have colonies. The American empire relies instead on an important alternative, not just brute force, but the cooperation of client states across the planet. Let's look at an example. The United States took over the Philippines as a colony during the Spanish-American War 125 years ago. We struggled to govern it for a generation, fighting a prolonged war against Filipino resistance. Plus, there was the issue of economic competition. As this article says, advocating independence for the Philippines, those with the strongest economic motives were farm and labor lobbies here in America. Their objections to competition from Philippine imports and Filipino laborers had found no relief in tariff or immigration acts. So we decided to give the Philippines autonomy for a decade. Then, when our credibility as a moral leader in the world was on the line after World War II, we gave them independence. We did not do this out of a sense of moral selflessness, but pragmatic self-interest. We could get all that we needed out of the Philippines, an overseas base, resource extraction, without directly having to spend money or embarrass ourselves trying to administer the Philippines. The country could even mostly have control over its own government as an outlet for their frustrations. Daniel Immerwahr, who has a great book on this sort of thing, writes that an aggressive strategy would have been to retain all existing territory and annex Japan's conquered islands. This was, from a narrowly military perspective, both feasible and desirable. yet doing so would carry the substantial political cost of encouraging rival powers in their territorial ambitions. But while the United States could get other countries to abandon their colonial empires, and therefore decrease their relative power, the difference is that the diminution of its colonial empire did not mean, for the United States, a loss of power. The period of its partial decolonization was also the time of Pax Americana, the emergence of a hierarchical global system built around the United States. Maintaining it, making basing agreements and military pacts, superintending trade deals, required the United States to present itself as essentially different from other great powers, as a neutral arbiter rather than a force for domination. In case anybody in the Trump administration is watching, that's right, you can sign treaties with countries to get what you want without invasion and occupation and colonization. In the case of the Philippines, the United States gave independence but retained control of its military bases. We still have soldiers in the Philippines. If we tried to hold on to the Philippines as a colony, like Portugal did with Mozambique, for all we know they could have allied with the Soviets or something. I think that's a substantial possibility. So what's my point? We don't need colonies anymore. If we don't antagonize and threaten to invade countries, we can actually get treaties signed that give us the things we want. The Trump administration literally tried that, but gave up when a little diplomacy became too hard, so now they've decided purchasing the island would be easier somehow. And who the hell knows if Donald Trump will get frustrated and actually order us to invade. Remember how we have all those military bases in the Philippines? Well, that's what all of Europe is to the United States, a gigantic continent of allied client states. If we push them too far, we are simply not strong enough to prevent them from choosing their own path. Europe is not poor, they spend billions on their militaries, and if we show ourselves to no longer be a reliable partner, we will no longer be their partner. And you might say, who cares about Europe anymore? It's 2026. I'm sure Khrushchev said something similar when Mao Zedong started flirting with Richard Nixon. In case you don't get the reference, we need allies to survive. If we don't care about Europe, surely you care about China. And who will help us against China if we push Europe away? The American empire can't survive based on brute force alone. We need Europe's willing cooperation, and if we start invading random European countries to gobble up territory like it's 1826, we will prove ourselves to be a larger threat to Europe than Russia. And literally an actual larger threat because Russia invaded Ukraine. If we invaded Greenland, we'd be attacking a NATO ally, Denmark. And it won't just be the Europeans who abandon us in that case, but Japan, South Korea, all of our allies across the planet who we rely upon to exist as a global empire will see that their continued existence is in danger from us. Now you might say, you don't care about that. You don't care about the planet. America should just retreat back to America. You can make the moral case that imperialism is bad, but the argument for Greenland that Trump is making isn't a moral case, it's a realist case. And when it comes to realistic analysis of self-interest, isolationism would cause everything we've built since 1942 to be completely lost, and the world economy would go down with it. Whether you like it or not, as an American, your high living standards depend on cheap imports from foreign producers and pricey exports to foreign consumers. And that trade will plummet down if the United States Navy stops patrolling the ocean. Who's gonna protect trade from literal pirates which do actually exist today? Is Brazil gonna save our ass? And you might say that we should reshore industrial manufacturing, which is a great dream. But in the meantime, we live in the real world, and 30 years of Great Depression while we struggle to do so isn't quite a good game plan. So America exists as a world empire, whether you like it or not. Our world empire operates based off the cooperation of client states. If we start shooting them in the back of the head, they're gonna ditch us, and our entire way of life is going to crumble. You might say I'm being melodramatic, but this isn't a game. This is real life for the past 80 years. And while I don't think Donald Trump is likely to actually invade Greenland, it's a possibility. And the next conservative populist president might just be crazier than him. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. If you agree or if you disagree, comment below and let me know. And don't forget to check out patreon.com/whatwhyhow for early access to future videos. Thanks to those who already do, and adios.